Welcome, friends of the Greasy Shop Rag. Today we're going to take a look at an Echo CSG7410 power cutter. Customer complaint is that it's low on power and sometimes doesn't want to run when it's at certain angles. That's the way the problem was described to me by someone who rented the saw and later by someone on our own crew that tried it out. It's kind of a weird complaint that it would only work on certain angles. And in case you're wondering why I'm not looking in the fuel tank, it's because I did that already. There's a new filter on here, and we just wanted to make sure that the filter wasn't hanging up somewhere near the top of the tank or anything silly like that. The fuel line was pressure tested, and that part of it all seems to be okay. We're going to dig into this carburetor and see if there's anything to find in here. There's a lot involved in getting this carburetor off, so if you've never done one before, you might want to follow along and see what we got going on here. So I did crack the cap, relieve some pressure before I pop the fuel lines off the carburetor. And this is a pretty new saw, actually. It looks a little beat up, but it's a rental saw, so people don't seem to respect rental equipment the same they do if they had paid for it themselves. So it gets beat up quick, I guess. But it is pretty new. Alright, I haven't been into one of these before, so it's kind of if it looks like I'm studying things or looking them over or going kind of slow, that's why. Two long bolts holding the carburetor air horn in and the carb itself, and then this one bolt that holds the bottom of the air horn down. Now there's a line on this, and that line runs to the bottom of the carburetor, and it directly vents the backside of the metering diaphragm, so that's not exposed to all the dirt and everything that builds up underneath here. We got our choke lever and we got our throttle linkage out of the way, and there's a tank vent line hanging there in a way, and this line is really on there. This is the one on the bottom of the metering diaphragm. They just vent that right into the air horn there to keep everything clean. This one goes to the primer bulb. It's the one that pulls fuel through the carburetor. So after blowing the thing clean, we're going to open it up and take a look inside. At this point I was being careful with the gaskets because I didn't know if I had a kit or not. Now what I'm seeing is I'm not sure what I'm seeing. There's a scum built up over the top of that micro screen. It's not that slime that I normally see. This actually looks kind of it looks like silver or grayish metallic looking colored slime. I don't know what it is, to be honest with you, but I know that it was blocking the micro screen, and at this point I'm pretty certain that's our problem. just inspecting the gaskets here and thinking that I probably want to find a kit for it before I put it back together. Our metering diaphragm itself, it's actually in pretty good shape. But again, this is a rental saw, and I don't want it coming back from rent with a problem. I mean, we don't make any money on them when they don't work right, you know what I mean? Metering lever height is good. So you can see I must have found a kit because the carb's going back in and there's parts laying on the bench. Our throttle linkage is going to get attached first. I don't know what I'm doing there behind my hand. I think I put the fuel line on that goes from the primer bulb to the carburetor. And then we'll put our main fuel line on the carburetor. And at some point I must have attached that hose from the air horn to the bottom of the carb. And now I'm just trying to get everything routed right. I mean, there's like 4 hoses here that all got to be in the right spot so they don't get kinked. And I can see that vent line, there we go. Vent line was hanging out, that didn't need to be there. And our choke linkage, we'll attach that. Now I think we can get everything buttoned back up. I think the technical term for what I'm doing here is fiddling. Carb bolts, long ones, put them back in. And we're just gonna kind of put them in lightly, get everything lined up the way it's supposed to be before anything gets torqued down. Air filter base, I guess that's what I call that piece. No, air horn? I don't know. Maybe I'll look it up someday and see what Echo calls it. I'm going to tighten these parts by hand, make sure they're good and snug. You know these saws vibrate so bad. And I don't mean Echo saws, I mean concrete saws. They're big engines and they thump pretty hard and they tend to vibrate screws loose. Again, I'm just going to check this stuff by hand and make sure it's good and snug. Alright, it's looking pretty good. Let's get this air filter back in place. And the top cover. So after this is screwed down, there's going to be some rubber plugs that go into these holes. Those plugs have a smooth side and a side with some reliefs in it. The reliefs face up, that way you can reach in there with like a needle nose or something and pull them back out. And the purpose of them is just to keep the dirt out of the screw heads. And actually it works pretty good. That's a big problem with these concrete saws is the powder and dust caking on top of screw heads and inside of Torx heads and making it impossible to get a driver on them. So we'll make sure this has got fuel in it and see if this will run or not. So that's all I got for you on the Echo CSG7410 concrete saw carb inspection. Thanks for watching. Later.